Burp, burp, burp. Hey, howdy ho, everyone. Boss Leader here again, and back in action for some more updates and whatnot. Just vlog stuff, I suppose. And I think today I would like to talk about a particular issue that I don't think a lot of people actually really talk about in particular. And that is just how defensive a lot of people can be. I know that sounds kind of weird in a lot of ways and shapes and forms about, like, what do you mean defensive and all this and that, but I see a lot of people out there talking about SJW crap and all this, like they're pushing this agenda, and you have to like sort of like either tread lightly or not tread at all to not offend people. And then on the other side, you have people getting mad about not being able to express themselves and be who they are and whatnot. And I've always found that a particularly interesting sort. And I do not speak for the rest of my trans folk out there, for my brothers and sisters. I don't. I really, really do not. This is my only take and mine alone. And I'll admit I have some controversial views when it comes to transgendered choices, beliefs, and all that such. But I will say I'm probably one of the more mellow ones out there. And the reason for it is because I haven't had to face a lot of adversity to begin with. I acknowledge this about myself. I really have not faced it yet. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm not saying that my life is in danger. I think everyone could attest to the fact that if you're transgendered, you do face a certain amount of danger ahead of you, no matter where you go or what you do. I don't want to put the like these things out lightly, because I feel like that's very important to say, if only for the fact that there are people out there that do it, and I don't want to belittle their struggle in particular. But for the most part, I think a lot of people are having trouble, mainly straightos, if you mind me calling you that, because I find it a really cutesy name, honestly, of talking and whatnot. But I see a lot of them just kind of seeing a lot of these trans folk come out and going like, is this a trend? Is this something that's like just happening, like everyone's doing it? And no, not really. What's really happening is that a lot of people are becoming more and more open to the idea because of social media and whatnot, and how true you could be to yourself and how much you could experiment and whatnot. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't really get, because I don't think a lot of transgender people really want to work with the binary system that we have going for us right now. I know I don't. I don't want to work with the binary system we have now, just male and female genders, and then we just have that spectrum right there, which there is a spectrum. I want to put that out right now, here and there. And I only mean this in the sense that it's a slider. There's more masculine people than there are feminine people. I think everyone could literally agree to that. You may be cringing at the whole entire, like this whole entire, how to say, I'm getting things out of the way. Like spectrum. What do you mean by this? It's only two and this and that people were saying and whatnot. But the reason why I say spectrum is because it's an easier way to like have a gauge. It's going like going back and forth and whatnot. So this is what I mean by the spectrum in general. Of course, I do believe in more than that, but I want to clear this out of just there is a fine line between here and like masculine and feminine and all that such. More people are more feminine, more people are more masculine. Some people don't have any, some people have both. In terms of qualities of gender and whatnot, that we have, ideally so. And that for sure is something that I'd rather not discuss, because it seems pretty obvious to me, and it's like, helped by scientific fact and social constructs and whatnot. I mean, I really don't understand how you could think otherwise, because it's sort of like saying that something can't be too delicious. It's only delicious or not delicious. There's things in between. There just is. And like legit. I don't know how else to say this without going further into depth with it, and I don't want to like talk about it. So maybe for another time, if y'all really want to have that argument. But I really doubt people that are watching this will actually have that argument with me, to say the least. But I do want to say, I think a lot of transgender people are defensive while they get at your throat when they're like, you say something that you think that isn't transphobic and totally is, because our lives are always in danger, and it's not in the ways that you think. And a lot of people just kind of think of it as a sort of like, people are going to get assaulted, people are going to like punch you and whatnot. It's not just that. That happens. I don't deny that. I'm not saying you people are out there doing it and whatnot, but it's an encouragement of what things are to come. And trans people had to pick up these signals because gay people picked up these signals beforehand, and like, hey, this is how you oppress and how you normalize and how you do all these things. And I understand all that. I understand their side completely. I just feel like they're too aggressive, but I understand why they're aggressive. Because when you say that transgender can't use the bathroom, but you support transgender rights, I believe you. But what you're not understanding about that is that saying that they can't use the bathroom that they want to use in particular, which, by the way, I've done before, and honestly, it was, for one, an accident. I honestly did not know. Like, legit. And two, I was just going to the bathroom. That's all I was doing. Like, legitimately. I had to really go. Everyone does this. You're not gonna, like, be, like, super embarrassed about it or anything like that. It's just, like, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go. That's it. You're not gonna be in there sexually assaulting people. Sexual assaulters will just do that anyway. It's kind of a moot point to me to discuss. But I suppose there's something else for another day, I guess. I don't know. I hate how this keeps trailing off back and forth, but I guess it will. It will. It happens. But suffice to say, when you say that they can't use the bathroom, when you say that they're not allowed to do that, it promotes more people that are like, yeah, I'm also not for transgender rights. This is not normal. I agree with this. That's what you're doing. You're encouraging that type of behavior. And you're doing it in the sense that you're not supporting transgender rights, and you're more so not saying anything. And when you're not saying something, you're still enabling people. And I think that's something that a lot of people tend to forget about the whole entire situation, and why sloth as a sin exists, because sloth is not just, I'm lazy, I don't want to do nothing. No. Sloth as a sin also depicts the fact that you could be apathetic. You're not supposed to be apathetic towards things. You're supposed to care about every being and whatnot in terms of the general sin and whatnot. You're supposed to not be apathetic. You're not supposed to just see things and just turn away and just go, oh, okay, I don't see it here. Don't, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. I'm not trying to create this as a sort of moral fiber sense, but it's more so the fact that there's a reason why sloth itself is a sin, and why apathy is also a big part of supporting things. So when you see someone just kind of like beat somebody up and whatnot, and you don't do anything about it, you don't tell anybody about it, and you're just silently not saying anything, you are encouraging the person that beat that person up to beat them again, because they got away with it the first time. You were there as the witness. Obviously speaking, you don't care if that person gets beat up again. And that person that got beat up in particular now no longer trusts you because you weren't standing up for them. And there's a lot of degrees of like why someone would not do that. Why would someone just stand up for someone that's getting beat up? They're going to get beat up too. That sucks. I don't want that. I don't want to get beat up just because I saw someone else get beat up. There's an understandable and natural survival instinct to this. I get that. But when you don't do anything, you're also encouraging the person that did do something to another person, someone that did harm to another person. And this is the same example. When you're not saying, I don't want transgendered people to be in bathrooms that they want to go to, that's what you're saying. That's the whole entire point, is you're pretty much encouraging people that are like, yeah, no trans in bathrooms. Well, of course, they're not going to really say that. They're going to say something far worse. So they're going to be like, okay, yeah, you got to get out of here. Let's arrest them. Let's beat them up. Let's not treat them like the way that they want to be treated. And you just stay silent. So these people, these oppressors, are allowed to do what they're able to do. This is why people get mad about people passing these laws and whatnot, because this kind of stuff has happened before with gay people. And gay people learned this from seeing what happened to black people throughout the history of America, too. They were not getting allowed permission to go in the same bathroom as white people. They weren't allowed to go to the same school and whatnot. It's a type of segregation that promotes a sort of racist vibe to it and whatnot. So when you're saying, like I don't want to support them for that reason and whatnot, when you don't want to help people when they're like being oppressed in that sort of situation, people are going to get down on that. So when you're also saying that online, where you're saying these things online, we're going like, I don't support this, but I don't mind transgender people because, like, whatever, I don't really care, but I also want to get away with saying things. That's why that happens. This is the whole entire reason why trap as a term, which I actually personally like. I'm sorry, I just do. I find it cutesy, but I also understand not my place, because guess what? It's also super bad, because it gives the whole entire normalization of, let's go ahead and say that, you know, femboys, people that dress in female clothing and whatnot, they're not actual boys technically, so it's okay to like do with them and whatnot, and I'm totally not gay for doing that. That's the whole entire point of that, and it's kind of setting up to where also transgender people are like trying to trap men to have sex with them, which is also like not a thing. I mean, there is a difference between someone going like, I'm not going to tell you my literal biological sex, but I'm still interested in you in a female light or in a male light. And then the male or female may consider themselves to be tricked, but that's more of a matter of foggy grayness area, and that's something I don't really want to discuss so much as I want to discuss the whole entire idea that their intention is to trap you, because that is not it. That is not the intention of any given trans person, is not to trap you into having sex with them. It's really, really not. And in all honesty, I feel like a lot of these things are sort of really bad to perpetuate, but at the same time, the term itself is cutesy, and I understand why people want to use it. But as a whole, I can't defend it. There's no argument there that's like, oh, but it's a cute way to say it, because it's not, actually. It's really, really not. And it's one of those things where I keep wanting to defend the term trap, but at the same time, I realize that it's just not a great term to really use, for the simple fact that it brings this sort of culture along with it, where it goes like, oh yeah, you know, transgender people want to trap people, they, you know, or like being gay is wrong, so that's why it's okay to have sex with traps, because they're technically females in our eyes and whatnot. But that's like, no, that's not a thing. It's okay to be gay. It's okay to want to have sex with transgender people, or be sexually attracted to them, or anything like that. Because, you know, if they're given this radiant female charm and they want to be perceived as female, like, that's kind of the thing. I really doubt any gay man out there really wants to be treated as female. That's kind of the whole entire point of transgender people, and why gays don't like transgender people. At least some of them do. There's been a lot of discrimination and whatnot about that in the past, where they're like, oh, well, if you like men and you just want to be a girl, then you could just literally just date a guy instead. It'd be fine. Or if you want to date a woman, then you just stay the way that you are, and that's fine. And it's like, no, I don't want to be recognized that way. There are people out there that don't seem to understand the whole entire, if you don't want to be called this, like, but that's what you are. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. People want to be called the way that they want to be called. Not everyone likes to be called their given name to begin with, and that's not even transgender people. That's people in general. Some people don't like to be called Robert. They want to be called Bobby or something. And how the hell that works, I don't know. And then we also have people that are called Richard, but they don't want to be called Richard. They want to be called Dick. Which, again, I don't understand how that is correlation between the two, but fucking whatever. The point is that if you call them Richard, it's disrespecting them. Because you're pretty much going like, oh yeah, what's up? I know you like being called Dick, but fuck you. That's messed up. You shouldn't be doing that. And if you have that kind of decency to be like, hey, I'll call you by this given name and whatnot, then you should be able to just give the transgender person their pronouns. It's not hard to do unless they're trans fluid, and then, well, gender fluid, not trans fluid. Ugh. Then it gets a little bit trickier, and I kind of understand the whole entire dealing with, I don't want to call you this and that, but at the same time, it's just like, this is easily solved by just having it they. Boom. One word. On top of that, they can just tell you, so. Honestly, just gets to the point of just, don't be a dick. That's all it really comes down to. And try not to make apathy your thing. Try not to make it happen. And this is just a small little thing of just it being a bigger issue. And this is by far a bigger issue that I'm not even scratched upon. I've only given so many examples. I have very flimsy logical reasoning, like, bound everywhere. I get that. I'm not saying I'm the best at this. I'm not saying that. I'm just giving out some things that have been kind of bothering me for a while. Because I see it on my timeline, and I see it every now and again, and it's just kind of like one of those things where it's just like, do people really not understand why it's bad? Do people not understand why people are defensive this way? And that's kind of what really kind of bothers me, the whole entire SJW bit. Because what the hell do they mean by SJW? That term has literally no meaning, as far as I've seen. Like, literal no meaning. I've seen it used so many times to describe so many different people that it does not actually make sense as a term. And that's kind of something that bothers me. And then they go ahead and say, but you used Nazi in the same way. And no, we don't. We don't use Nazi the same way. We use Nazi to describe somebody that either is a Nazi sympathizer, has sympathy for Nazi or white supremacist things, or is literally a Nazi, as in they want to rule this whole entire class and just get people out of their way by means of deportation or death. And that's what the Nazis did. So, in all honesty, just a little confused at some terms and whatnot when it comes to that bit. But for the most part, what I'm really trying to say here, don't be a dick. I think that's a pretty simple thing. I mean, if I said some things that offend you, I'm sorry. Unless you're a Nazi, then I don't fucking care. I guess. It's one of those things that really confuse me here, because, like, I get why people get mad at the whole entire, like, they just came lashing out at me because, like, whoa, I was just supporting a term that I like. But at the same time, it's like, you're not understanding why they're being so defensive and why they're getting at your throat. And it sucks because both sides are right to react that way, but they're not both right. And that's kind of the problem that I see with a lot of these defenses and whatnot. But to be fair, what you're writing on is a term that you like. What they're writing on is their life. So next time if you like see this happen, just like realize that we're fighting for a bigger cause here, and largely we're scared to die. We want to live, despite what people say about the suicide rate of transgender people. It's so stupid. Till next time.